Tully and Weiss joins me now to discuss the case. Joseph, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's start with the aggravated murder charge here levied against Tyler Robertson in this case, and this is the one that they could use to seek the death penalty. Can you break that down for us?
Yes, so they can use this to seek the death penalty and have given notice that they intend to do so. So this really, this charge dwarfs all the other ones because the stakes don't get any higher than this. This is the main charge in the case. It's basically encapsulates the act of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. And there will be special things that they will need to do to prove the death penalty. First, they'll have to get a conviction, a finding of guilt in the underlying murder, and then they will have to present the case for the death penalty to the jury after that. Usually, they'll do that in two separate steps in a jury trial.
And what is it that they have to exactly prove? I mean, you have the conviction there already. What do they have to show the jury to say he should get death in this case?
Sure. So in layman's terms, they have to show that the aggravating factors that weigh in favor of death outweigh the mitigating factors against imposing the death penalty. They'll have to show heinousness of the crime. They'll have to show prior planning, that there was an intent to do so, that he could have withdrawn at any time, at any stage of the planning, of the carrying out of the actions, and that he chose not to do so. They'll have to show that whatever mitigating evidence that the defense would bring up in terms of his childhood, in terms of any psychological trauma that he could experience, or any psychological or conditions that he might have, such as a mental illness, that is outweighed by the heinousness of the crime and the opportunity and the planning and the fact that he chose to go through with it if he is convicted.
All right, so right now it seems like the authorities have a lot of evidence against him. There's DNA, they said, that is consistent with Robinson found on the suspected murder weapon and the ammo itself. It seems that they have a pretty good case here. What stands out to you?
So, as you said, DNA is scientific. It's while there are problems with it, and while it's not 100% in any courtroom, the DNA, I think, is the biggest pieces of evidence. I think the DNA wrapped on the towel around the rifle that they found in the woods, the DNA on the screwdriver recovered from the rooftop where the shooting allegedly took place, a written note that was hid underneath a keyboard, and then in his apartment that he shared, and then the text messages or digital messages between allegedly between him and his romantic partner in his house, engraved shell casings found near the rifle in the woods. So I think those, as a defense attorney, in terms of analyzing a case, those are the strongest pieces of evidence in my mind.
And Joseph, as you said, you're a criminal defense attorney here, but as you're looking at this case and watching the charges being laid out here, what sticks out in your mind? What would you think? What do you question about the charges that Tyler Robinson is facing?
So I think in terms of, how we have a system of innocent until proven guilty, and how do you get there really in your mind? I would submit to you one name, Lee Harvey Oswald. Here we were presented with facts from the government at the time after JFK's assassination that this was the guy who did it. And in the years and decades that have happened since then, a lot has come out to bring into question that government, the information that the government gave to the American people at that time, if not outright disproved it. So I do think that we should adopt an attitude of innocent till proven guilty in all cases, no matter how heinous the charges and no matter what the evidence seems. I think that is the way to do it.
He did not have an attorney, so the judge said he will appoint him an attorney in this case. So we're looking forward to what happens there. But what happens next in this case now that these charges have been laid out?
Sure. So the prosecutor filed what's called a prosecutor's information, meaning they filed the charges in court. And that's what we've been discussing. The next step is a preliminary hearing. So everybody knows what a jury trial is, and that's where a case eventually ends up. In this case, will probably end up there. I don't see it negotiating out or plea bargaining. But if you think of a jury trial as a movie, it's 2 hours long. You see all the characters, you see all the plots and subplots. A preliminary hearing is like a movie preview. It's not 2 hours long, it's 2 minutes long. You get a thumbnail sketch of the prosecution's case, and that would be the next step in this case. So they'll do a lot of setting, and it'll be a year or two away until we actually get there. But that is the next substantial step that we'll see.
Yeah, and I should point out that there were hints of a possible motive here about him carrying out this because he just didn't like what Charlie Kirk was saying. But prosecutors or authorities yesterday didn't exactly give the actual motive for this case. Is that your understanding from yesterday when you watched this?
Well, I think that there was some of the quotes from the text messages, something like "some hate you can't negotiate with." I had the opportunity to take them out. That kind of thing. I think the messages found on the allegedly found on the bullet casings strongly indicate a motive that there was political disagreement between Mr. Robinson and Mr. Kirk, and that would be the motive here.
Yeah. All right. Joseph Tully, a criminal defense attorney with Tully and Weiss. Thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Me too. Coming up in the mornings on 2 to 9, America's push to go green facing a new reality.